Welcome into TDN Against the Spread. Paige DeMacos, Jake Arians, Jamie Eisner here on a Thursday. No Thursday night football tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We had Wednesday afternoon, whatever that was. It was ugly. It was all over the place. It was definitely very, very interesting. So before we get into the underdogs of the week and everything, just you guys' reaction to that Pittsburgh win over the Baltimore Ravens, seeing as yeah, that was everybody said it was a drunk football game, and it sure was a drunk football game. So, Jake, what were your takeaways from that game?
That the Steelers are 11-0 and the Ravens aren't very good, which I've been saying for a few weeks now. They were banged up. They had 12 guys out from COVID, all the stuff. It was a Wednesday game, which I think threw everything out of sync. Look, it was a turnover, and a pick six.
Yeah.
That's the first four plays of the game, and that's pretty much how the rest of it went. Steelers made enough plays. RG3 comes out afterwards and said, I think we'd have won if I didn't pull my hamstring, which he never missed. He missed one play?
Yeah.
Trace McSorley looked better at the end of the game than he did. This Ravens team has serious issues. I mean, that's my biggest thing was the Steelers are 11-0. They got the win. It's still a rivalry. I thought it'd be close. But the Ravens have serious issues, Jamie.
Yeah, they do. But the Steelers have some issues of their own they're going to have to deal with, particularly with the Bud Dupree ACL injury that has been confirmed today. So he'll be out for the year. Rookie Alex Highsmith is going to have to play a bigger role for that defense. Look, they got the win. That's what you say for Pittsburgh. It was ugly. It didn't look good. Their red zone struggles were not ideal. They were concerning if you bet on them, if you took them against the spread, or if you're just a Steelers fan in general. But at the end of the day, they ended up winning, and the Ravens are going to be in a dogfight here to make the playoffs. They have a beneficial schedule, which will help them, assuming Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins and all these guys are back for their Tuesday night matchup this coming week. But even if they do make the playoffs, this feels like a one-and-done team again. And, they were surprised one-and-done the last 2 years, and they're probably going to be an expected one-and-done this year.
Yeah, I guess that's the major difference this year, Jamie, is you're going to be looking at a team that the expectations have changed significantly, where you were talking about a Super Bowl run coming into this season, coming off an MVP campaign for Lamar Jackson, looking a lot different now as we are way past the midway point of the season. But let's get into our best bets and everything that we like and don't like for this upcoming week in NFL action. Jake, you got underdogs. You got two underdogs this week. You got the Jags and you got Washington. Tell us why you like both of these dogs, other than obviously there are big point spreads here.
I mean, look, the Jags have lost 3 out of 4 by 4 points. And that was to Cleveland, to Green Bay, and to a pretty hot Houston team. Now, you're telling me the Vikings are that much better than those teams? I mean, look, the Vikings, if they win this, they'll have won 5 out of 6 heading into a big matchup with Tampa next week. I like the Jaguars to keep this close. They've been running it on people. You can run it on Minnesota's defense. I think Dalvin Cook has a big day. I think Kirk Cousins probably has a big day. Justin Jefferson has a big day. But they've kept everything close. They've been playing really good. They're playing really hard the last month. I just like them to keep it within 10.5. And then Washington, you're talking about a crazy last 6 games. They've won 3. 2 of them were blowouts. They lost 1 point to the Giants, 3 points to the Giants, and 3 points to Detroit. Alex Smith played really well. Antonio Gibson's playing really well. McLaurin's playing really well. Logan Thomas is playing well. That defense is ridiculous. And Pittsburgh's on a short week and didn't look that good, and is now missing Bud Dupree and is probably banged up a little bit from this game. I don't know that they can win it. I think it's going to be a really close game. I like them to be within that 8.5 as well.
All right, Jamie, I looked at your pick here. All right. I looked at Jamie's pick, and Jamie's pick is the New York Jets as a underdog. Now, you must defend this because it's the Jets, right? I don't care who the Jets are playing. I need a really good reason why you think, even though it's 9 points, why the Jets are going to cover this, seeing as they are borderline no longer a professional football team.
Look, I'm going to go full Galaxy brain on this one. This has just been in the back of my mind all week. Sometimes you just have a gut feeling. The Raiders have not played well on the East Coast in a 1 p.m. start time. Like, that was my idea. So I went back and did some research on it. They are 3-6 against the spread on East Coast 1 p.m. start time kickoffs in the Gruden era. They got boat raced a year and a week ago in New York against the Jets. And that was really the turning point where their season went from, wow, they're going to be a surprise playoff team, to that little backslide that brought them down to 7-9. I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to play in this game. Nelson Aguilar might not play in this game. Damon Arnett and Jonathan Abrams both sat out of practice on Wednesday. There could be missing a lot of pieces for this game. I know they've been playing well before last week, but I hated what I saw against the Falcons from everybody involved, and they're playing men down. I'm not going to be bold enough to pick the Jets to win outright, although I would consider it at more than 3-1 odds if you're just going to put a low dollar bet. But I think the Jets can keep this within one score. And it's going to be a weird game, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the Raiders go out there and have one of their 34-point games like they've had earlier in the year, usually against their divisional opponents. But I just don't see it right now. I think they're too undermanned, and they were too out of sync last week. I think this is going to be a one-score game.
Now, wouldn't it be fun for Draft Network if the New York Jets win a football game and then things get really interesting in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes? So I am officially all in on the Jets pulling some shenanigans off and ending up hurting themselves long-term by potentially knocking themselves out of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. So very, very interested in that, Jamie, and love the stats you brought up. Unfortunately, I hope for Raiders fans that they don't have that backslide like they did last year. They've looked really good, but that Atlanta game was ugly. Speaking of ugly, let's talk about stayaways. Okay. Things we are going to stay away from this week. Jake, your stay away is the Buffalo Bills playing the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners coming off of what is a very impressive win to keep them relevant in this playoff race, which quite frankly should put Kyle Shanahan in Coach of the Year candidacy because of the amount of injuries that this team has had to sustain to even stay relevant, right? So why are you staying away from this game?
First of all, it's at the Niners, but it's in Arizona in State Farm Stadium. So that's where I'm starting with this. The Bills have you can run it down their throat. Nobody runs it better than Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. Raheem Mostert's back. Expect him to have a big week. And what Robert Saleh is doing with his defense, with all those guys they've gotten back, with Richard Sherman getting a pick last week, playing that underneath zone, I think it's going to be really tough to pass on them. I think they're still top 5 against the pass. I'm going to pick the Bills to win this game, but I have zero faith in this. You guys know how much I love Kyle Shanahan. He schemes his ass off. This coaching staff's doing a phenomenal job. I expect this to be a really close game, but the fact that the Niners had to move to the desert for the last month, the Bills are coming across the country. I don't know which one's hotter, which one's playing better. This one's complete, utter. I have no idea. I'm staying away.
Yeah, and you never know. The Bills might have a little worry coming into this game, seeing as they'll have flashbacks from Hail Murray that happened at the end of that football game. So luckily for them, they won't be facing DeAndre Hopkins in this game, so it won't happen again. Jamie, your stay away, right? Let's talk about Saints at Falcons. Traditionally, a phenomenal matchup between these two teams, right? We've talked about how things in this division, especially with these two teams down the stretch, can always get weird. So is that why you're staying away from this one?
It's just I don't have a great read on where the Falcons are right now or where the Saints offense is. And I think that what leads me to stay away here. The Falcons, since Raheem Morris took over, they're 4-2 overall and against the spread, and should be 5-1 in both if Todd Gurley could just fall down properly. So they've been playing a lot better lately. Their defense is playing a lot better lately. On the other side of things, lost in the fact that everybody was, laughing at the Broncos for starting a practice squad wide receiver at quarterback. That defense kind of kept Taysom Hill in check for the most part. Like, he was, as expected, once they got a little bit of film on him, wasn't as dynamic as he was in his first start. Now I want to see what happens in start number 3. I say all that, I still think the Saints are the better team. And that's the struggle that I'm having internally. I still think the Saints are the better team overall. They just beat and shut down this Falcons team a couple weeks ago in a blowout victory. So all those things come together for me, and I say, you know what? I'm just going to stay away from this right now. The Falcons are like a 2.5 or 3 point road dogs or home dogs in this game. I don't have a good enough read on this one. I'm very curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, need the Falcons to pull off a victory here. Really wanting that to happen for things to get interesting in that NFC South division, and for just inevitably the chaos that will ensue if that does happen for Matty Ice and that team that have really made it interesting to see what they do with coaching staff, seeing it as how much better they have played since firing Dan Quinn. Next thing we're going to talk about here, guys, the over-under. I love when you guys both pick the same game. Right. So this is just for everyone behind the scenes. They send their picks in individually. They don't talk to each other. They send everything in. We put our show sheet together. So it's not like they're, corresponding behind the scenes to make this up. So you guys both have Eagles and Packers at over 47. I'm envisioning that's because Green Bay doesn't play defense very well. They gave up 25 points to the Chicago Bears offense that really can't score ever, which was quite frankly a miracle. And the Eagles are erratic. That's the way I'm going to describe that football team. So is that why you guys are taking the over here? Jake, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, look, Carson Wentz is going to turn it over at least once, if not a few times, which is going to play into the benefit of Aaron Rodgers going off. You can't really run it on this Philly defense great, but you can throw it all over them. They get some pressure, which I think is going to hurt them. I got the Packers winning pretty easily and winning 30-20, but I think it gets over 47 pretty easily here. It could be worse than that. And Carson Wentz is going to fight you to the last minute. We saw that the other night with a backdoor tie in prime time. This Eagles team has so many issues, but I think the more they turn it over, the more Carson Wentz plays erratic, the more that plays in your favor of getting over here.
Jamie, is this one of those lines where you looked at it and you said, the line is wrong? Did you look at that? Was this a Chargers situation where you're looking at the points and you're going, nah, this one's just wrong, and I'm going over? What's the sitch?
Yeah, it felt a little weird to me to see it this low. Last time these two teams played, they combined for 61 points last season. I know it was earlier in the year, but it's going to be cold. But there's not going to be any weather issues in this matchup. And as much as everybody understandably and reasonably loves Kansas City's offense, and they get talked about all the time, the number one scoring offense in the NFL right now is Green Bay. And they're putting up points on everybody. They'll put up points on Philadelphia. And as Jake mentioned, the Eagles will fight back in garbage time. And you know, as anybody that had a Seahawks -6.5 ticket knows very well, they will fight you to the very end no matter what. To me, I look at both these teams right now. They're combining to allow 51 points per game defensively, combining to score 53 points per game offensively. I think this game is going to be well into the 50s. And I was a little surprised to see this below that little threshold there.
All right, guys, it's time to talk locks. Okay, this is my favorite part of the show. The guys are going to give you their locks of the week. Jamie has 2. Jake has 1. Jake, I'm looking at it just so you guys know, this is another behind the scenes thing. Jake makes the picks, but he doesn't look at the point spread, right? So he looks at it and he does a score prediction, and then he looks and sees the lines. And this is one of those ones where the line is you're way off, right? You got the Rams winning by significantly more in this football game. So you're going Rams at Cardinals, Rams -3 because you have them winning by 9, right? So what do you see happening in this game, Jake?
First of all, I love when superstars get embarrassed. And whether you like him or not, Jared Goff is a superstar, but Sean McVay is a bigger superstar than that. Came out publicly critiquing his quarterback this week with the 3 picks or 3 turnovers last week. I expect them to have a big bounce-back performance. By the way, McVay is 6-0 against the Cardinals in his tenure there. They own them. Now, let's flip to the Cardinals side. They are 1 play and an overtime penalty from going to overtime from losing 5 straight. I told you guys when they played the Seahawks the second time, I thought that defense put some stuff on tape that you could take advantage of with Kyler Murray. That happened that night. The Patriots did the same thing. I watched this Rams defense live 2 weeks ago. Really, really good. Fast all the way across the board. Not enough guys get credit for being stars on that defense. And Kyler Murray's shoulder, I still don't know where it is. DeAndre Hopkins has been held under 60 yards the last couple of weeks. I just love McVay in this matchup. If you're telling me McVay coming off getting embarrassed or Kingsbury trying to figure it out when they could have lost 5 straight, I'm going with McVay.
Yeah, some very questionable coaching decisions over the last few weeks for Cliff Kingsbury. I think pretty much points the finger in the direction of the league as a whole, who have collectively decided that if you shook hands with Sean McVay, you could get a head coaching job, right? We'd made that joke for a long time, but we'll see. It's really hard to be the offensive mind that is Sean McVay, and I envision the master will win against Cliff Kingsbury in this one. 6-0, obviously very impressive. Jamie, you have 2 locks here. Your first one, and it should be available on BetOnline now, has gone up and down and had times where this line was not available. But the line is up right now. It is Titans -6 against the Cleveland Browns. The Titans coming off of their most impressive win of the year against the Indianapolis Colts. Why do you feel this confidence in the Titans?
Well, for me, I think it's all about the one player the Cleveland Browns will not be putting on the field in this game, and that is Denzel Ward. And you taking out their best player in the secondary, and a secondary that hasn't been all that special already this year, is a bottom 10 against the pass. And I think now you allow the Titans to be multidimensional. You allow them to run Derrick Henry into the ground for as long as they feel like, and now they can beat you over the top with either A.J. Brown or an intermediate routes with Corey Davis. I think losing that piece they've been struggling even with him taking away half the field. I think this is going to be a really rough time for that secondary to slow down Tennessee at all. And even though that run defense isn't terrible, something's going to have to give if they're able to beat you over the top. So I'm going to go with the Titans in this game. I trust their quarterback play a lot more, and now I trust their defense a lot more, even though both of these defenses aren't great. Without Denzel Ward, I'm going to give the edge to the Titans in that matchup.
All right, the second one you have here is plays right into your girl's favor, right? So this is Chicago Bears over 23.5 points. And for all of you that are not Chicago Bears fans like me and painfully ride this, roller coaster with this team, the thing that you may not know is that Mitch Trubisky is a way below average football player against most teams. And then he somehow watches Space Jam, gets Michael Jordan special juice, and turns into a Pro Bowl top tier quarterback against the Detroit Lions. And it's without fail, the version you get against the Lions is significantly different than every other version. And they just put up 25 points on the Green Bay Packers. So I envision that's why you're feeling confident here, Jamie, in 23.5 for this Bears.
I am. Look, the Lions defense is an absolute mess right now. And that secondary is in complete shambles with injuries. They're giving up nearly 30 points per game defensively. And look, Trubisky and the Bears just kind of own them right now. The Chicago's averaging almost 26 points per game against Detroit since 2018. Here's a crazy stat for you, by the way. Think about this. 25%, so a quarter of Mitchell Trubisky's career passing touchdowns have come against the Lions. A quarter against one team that you play twice a year. That's fabulous. I mean, think about that for a second.
It's absolutely fantastic. Of his career
touchdowns. Yep. Highest career completion percentage against any team is Detroit. They're also, by the way, they're a bottom 5 rush defense as well. And we saw David Montgomery come off of his best game of the year. I think they're going to be able to have some rare balance in Chicago's offense because of their opponent. It's not because they got any better, but it's because of their opponent that I expect the Bears to be able to put up enough points in this game to get over the total.
Bears also got a couple of offensive linemen back from COVID list in their last game against Green Bay. One of their guys coming off of injury back in this game. So hopefully helping you, Jamie, and Bears fans with running the football and overall total offense. It's just something with Mitch against those Lions. I can't describe it. Wish he knew how to do it all the time, but man, oh man, he likes playing Detroit. If only they could play 16 times a year. Guys, we have reached the end. The 2-minute warning. You each get a minute. Jake will go first, and Jamie, you can hop in. Jake, you have the floor. Take it away.
This is going to be one of those weeks where you go like 13-2, pick them, but who the hell knows against the spread? Man, Vegas is good. I'm looking at these lines now that I got it written down. Like this Bears game, I picked 24-21 Bears, which is on the line and on the over-under. Like I was like, that should have been my stay away when I looked at it even more. I'm really looking forward to this 49ers-Bills game. And the 49ers, by the way, I didn't mention, are staring at that last playoff potential seed. They can win out. This would be a big test for them. And that would mean the Cardinals miss out, which everybody was all high on Kyler Murray winning the MVP and them making it in. It's going to be a really fun week. I'm looking forward to that Titans-Browns game Jamie just talked about. And I love Jamie's pick of the Jets. I don't think they're going to win, but they have really under the radar gotten healthy. The first time Sam Darnold's going to have 3 legit receivers. Denzel Mims looks very explosive. Rashad Perriman back, Crowder. That could be a fun game to watch with that Raiders defense. I'm looking forward to a bunch of games this week because the Bucs aren't playing.
And me, I'm looking forward to this being the week of the underdog potentially. We've talked about a few of them already, but I could be talked into 4, maybe even 5 underdogs against the spread this week. I obviously already talked to you about the Jets +9. I'm in full agreement with Jake. He doesn't know this, but I picked Washington to cover as well at +8.5. I picked the Jags to cover again at 10.5. I could be talked into, if this line goes above 14, I could be talked into Broncos. As good as the Chiefs have been playing, they haven't blown out a lot of opponents by more than 2 touchdowns. It's only happened 3 times this year. So I could be talked into that one. And depending on who the starting quarterback is for the Miami Dolphins this week, which we're not going to know until late in the week, I could be talked into Cincinnati at double digits right now. They're Dolphins right now 11.5-point favorites, which is fair with Fitzpatrick, but I don't think I like them that much if that's Tua starting that game, especially a little banged up. So it's been a lot of chalk the last couple of weeks in the NFL. I think this could be the week of a lot of underdogs covering.
All right, the week of the underdog. I'm looking forward to revisiting that with you guys to see how many of these underdogs come through, but whenever you got those double digit point spreads, it always gets really interesting. You like to just kind of go, okay, I'm gonna go against the favorite here. So I like where you guys are headed. All right, everybody, we reached the end of the show. Want you guys to tell everybody how they can follow you and see all of the great content that you are producing. Jake, you go first. How can everybody find you?
Jake B. Arians on Twitter and Arians NFL on Instagram.
And Jamie?
Follow me at Jamie Eisner on Twitter for these and other prop bets that will come out on Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to have some great player props. That's if you've been following along with that. Jamie's been hitting the J.D. McKissick prop for quite some time, what seems like 12 weeks in a row at this point. So
maybe not anymore, though.
Yeah, maybe not anymore.
But catching up.
But definitely, they finally caught up to the Jamie Eisner prop bet that was happening week in and week out. You guys can follow me at _sports page with an I on both Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to check out everything that everybody is doing over at thedraftnetwork.com. Good luck in week 13.